Welcome, welcome everyone to Masterpiece Conversations, where we have real conversations that we all learn from, that we grow and continue to be better. So here we are, another Sunday. Another Saturday, sorry. Very glad to be with you. Welcome, Marj. It's exciting to have you. So for those of you who didn't get the chance to catch her bio, it's extensive, but I'm going to summarize it. She's a mom.
Masterpiece is created by God. And listeners, viewers, I am Marjy Marj. I'm a girl from Dansoman. If there are any Dansoman people in the house, I'm your DC people girl. In the house. Yes, I am your DC girl by way of South Carolina these days. It is an honor and such a privilege to be here this Saturday afternoon. Lately, my Saturdays have just been taking over. My very good friend called me this morning and she was like, "Oh, Akosia, what's going on today? You didn't tell me about your program." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got one today. Actually, I got 3. So I tried to fit it in. I thought I had 3, and now I realized I do have 4 actually."
Oh my goodness.
So my boys will they'd be like, "You said it was Mother's Day week, but you're not giving us the time." But I will have all the time for them tonight and tomorrow, and we are going to celebrate me. It's going to be all about
It's all about you.
Yes, mothers, guardians, aunties who are watching. It is our day. Let it be about you. You can binge watch your movies. You can read your books. Self-care is the best care.
Wow, that is Marjy Marj for you. Self-care is the best care. Mother's Day weekend. You are all supposed to make something happen for yourself in your own way. Make it your personal way. If you have to buy the flowers for yourself, just buy the flowers for yourself. Love yourself enough to do something for yourself, because that is really who you have. You have you. And so welcome again. Let's dive in. I know we are a few minutes late starting, but we're going to start and I believe that we'll have a great conversation. So Florence, I see you, you're welcome. And everyone else, you're also welcome. But let's talk about the ordinary person, courageous at the same time. I feel like it's a paradox when I say being ordinary and being courageous, because a lot of us women, we know we are ordinary. We are not like, we don't have any name that is celebrated globally or whatever it is. And sometimes we feel so ordinary in our day-to-day that we are doing, whether we are in the kitchen, whether we are, in the groceries or doing so many things. And it's just so ordinary. So how do we at the same time embrace this courageous, part of us that, like Pastor Annette would say, makes us audacious enough to step out and be bold and be able to, dare enough to take a risk? How do we do that? I see it in you, and I'm going to ask a few more personal things. Yeah. How do we do that, Marjy? How do we do that? And how have you done it yourself? Yeah.
Well, I would tell you that you've just got to own up to the skills and the talents that the good Lord has given you. And, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And so everybody's got something to bring to the table. I tell you, there are so many things that I don't know how to do. And I'm not going to kid myself and say that I can do that. I am that girl whose favorite teacher from high school is her tree teacher, because I took tree. Yes, I took tree and I took BK because I was not that person who could take ad maths or could do physics or chemistry or any of that. But I own my talents, and I'm confident in what I do. There are times that you may not even be the most confident person in the room, because you might be in a room full of experts. But guess what? You are an expert in something. Everybody knows something. It could be that you're an expert at cooking. Well, own it. You make the best jollof rice. Own it.
That is huge.
Yes. It could be that your expertise, like me, is in picking out fabulous sunglasses. Well, own it. Wear it green, wear it yellow. It doesn't matter if it's a brand name or not. You can get it for $5. Walk into that room and everybody's going to think you're wearing Louis Vuitton because you are owning it.
You're owning it.
Yes, I think that is what we have to do as women. Own our talents, own our skills, be bold, be brave, and be confident. Be happy with who you are. Now, I know there's some days that we may not feel as confident, especially you could look at your bank account and be like, ooh, where am I heading today? But you know what? Have faith and keep at it. Keep pushing. That's what we do. We're all ordinary in so many ways. I mean, go to Oregon and ask someone, hey, do you know Marjy Marj? They don't know who I am, you know? But in my household, I am King Kong. Yes, that's how it's got to be. Be your own King Kong. Yeah.
Be your own King Kong. You did. And you packed so much into it that I'm like, this woman has it. She got it. And I think, how did you even get to that place? Like you said, a Dansoman, girl, to get to that place. And by the way, I used to walk all the way to Dansoman exhibition down and all that and come back home. So I know the path and I know the way pretty well. But how do we, take a girl from Dansoman, and how did you get here? How did you build the self-confidence? Because sometimes that is our struggle, either culturally or just by society. We just feel like, we are second best. We are not, co-equals. We can't do much. And I know you're doing a lot with girls in STEM. So a lot of us will choose even some of the, some careers just because we don't think that we can be in this field. How have you been able to navigate your way to the place where you can be you and feel comfortable in your skin? I love that. Yeah.
Well, I would tell you what, it didn't happen overnight. But when I was in Dansoma, I was still Marjy Marj. I was so too known. You go to Emmanuel Presby, you ask, who wants to give a tune? Teacher Kofi. I will raise my hand. Who wants to go for collection? I will raise my hand. I was that annoying girl. And I was not the best at anything. I just kept doing my best. I was not the one who was excelling at everything, but I just kept putting my best foot forward. When I was in boarding school, secondary school, as we call it, I wasn't the one with the fancy friends. I wasn't the one that the boys liked. But you know what? I made my own way. I she my jama. And I just made my own way because I figured that I wasn't going to stay in my misery expecting that I was going to get a Valentine's card when it was never going to come. Wow. And my expectations for myself are high, but my expectations for other people are low. I don't have high expectations of people because I know that people can fail you. And I don't want to depend on humans. Although I believe that together we are stronger, I depend on God. Yeah. Because so many times there have been things that I have failed at. And when I fail, I cry. I cry so hard because I know I'm going to get up and go. And guess what? There are times that when you fail, although you are so sad and miserable about your failure, it doesn't help that other people are also rejoicing at your failure and doing concern about you and saying, she's that one. Oh, didn't she get laid off? Oh, didn't he lose this? Oh, and they're getting divorced. But people are like that. Bad news travels. So you have to be confident and believe in yourself and have those high expectations on you. And when I say have the high expectations, I'm not saying that compare yourself with others. No, you are your own competition. Wow. Guess what? Somebody has their standards set on something because they have a different skill set from you. So if you know that your talent is to care for people and to be by their bedside, be that nurse, that is your talent. Because guess what? You may not be a good accountant. So own in on what you can do.
Right.
And I believe that once you know that you're owning in on that, that confidence will come. I'm telling you, there is no way that I will walk into a room that I will feel like I am lesser than anybody in that room, because I know that God made me. I'm his favorite child. And so it doesn't matter how much money somebody else has or what the credentials that person has. I just own what I have. And it may be coming from a humble place, but I am happy with it.
I'm happy with it.
Yes.
Marjy, you are just amazing. I mean, I know, like, talking to you on the phone, talking to you here is the same. It's like, own what you have. And I remember you told me something. You said, you will have a different, even like, outreach than I will, but just do what you do and do you. And that is so amazing. Like, even having women, helping women, encouraging women, that is you. And I mean, I am amazed. I'm just amazed. It's not like you're superhuman. You're just this ordinary person. And at the same time, you're so intentional about making the best of life. And I think for all of us who are watching in different areas and in different stages of our lives, feeling like we don't have it. We don't have it like Marjy Marj. We don't have it like Tina. We don't have it like Pastor Nat or Abba or somebody else. I think that is a place that we lose even our confidence. Because I feel that when we start comparing ourselves, we get discouraged instead of getting encouraged. We rather get discouraged and we don't take the risk anymore, because we are like, oh, I think this person already got it. So what do I have to offer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. And nobody's got it all. Everybody's got issues. It doesn't matter how skinny, how rich, what, it doesn't matter. J-Lo has her issues. Bill Gates has his issues. And so does Marjy Marj, who is not in their league. So whether you're poor, rich, fat, skinny, whatever it is, we all got issues.
We all have it.
We just got to go on our knees and have faith and tap into our God-given talent. Because as we say back in Ghana, nowhere cool.
Nowhere cool. Nowhere cool. And Marj, I think I love the thing that you said earlier, that even when you were growing up, you will raise your hand. You were not the best. You knew it, but you will still raise your hand. I think that is enough for someone to hear today and say, I'm going to raise my hand. I may not have it all. I may not even know the whole thing, because I see this in the workplace. And sitting from where I sit at work, I see people who have the talent, they have the God-given abilities, but because they are afraid to raise their hand, and sometimes I've also been there, where it's like, okay, do I speak up? Should I put my hand down? And I'm like, okay, just speak up anyway. The worst is you don't get what you want, but that's okay, So how do we, nurture this confidence and at the same time manage our fears? And have you been there? Like, you're going to do something, but you're like, you're not sure. You're doubting yourself. How do you manage that? Because I think women doubt ourselves much more than the men do. The men will rise up, and even sometimes if their contribution is not that great, they will put their thoughts out there, and we hold our thoughts in and we just think about it but never say anything. How do you do it? How do you manage the fears and then the doubts and still become courageous?
Well, we all have fears and doubts. There are times that you might not even believe in what you're about to say. And there are times that you may feel a little bit intimidated, even depending on who is in the room. It's not everybody who would be able to do what Marjy does. For example, I'm going to swallow my fears and speak up. But it's not everybody who can do that. What I say is find your ally. Find your ally, because when you're not able to speak up, that ally will speak up for you. Find your circle. I have so many circles. And, some of my circles, we're not necessarily buddies, but we have something in common. And it's the fact that we are parenting. And we have some things that maybe we do in common as parents. And so that circle is a great circle for me for that. Well, I'm a big soccer mom. I have a soccer circle because I need that space.
Right.
I may also have a circle of people who are maybe more polished than I am, because I may need for them to speak up for me in certain circles. And I may not be like them, but I don't have to have that complex and say that, oh, because she is such a lady, I don't fit. No, everybody is different. It's like a rainbow. Some are blue, some are red, some are yellow, some are green. But we are all the same in Jesus's eyes.
Wow.
If you don't feel confident about speaking up, and there's somebody in the room that can speak up for you, this is what people do, something called lobbying. Sometimes before you get there, you have lobbied your case. Yes. And so if you're not able to say it, that other person can say it for you. And it may not be in a room, it may be at the marketplace. Yeah. It may be your child's school. Find a teacher who can speak on your behalf. Wow. It may even be in a church group. Wherever you are, trust me, there's somebody. And I was on a talk this week and I mentioned that the average American is supposed to have 1.5 friends. That means one person doesn't even have 2 friends, 1.5. Yeah. But you know what? There are other circles out there that you can tap into, thanks to social media, thanks to fellowshipping with people from church, or maybe your alumni from your high school or your undergrad, depending on which stage you are in life. There are networks out there that you can reach into to get a little bit of support. And when you're so lonely and you feel like there's no network, look, there are mental health websites. There is a way to talk to someone. Find an advocate. And you know what? You can go to marjymarj.com and send me an email. I may not be your best friend, but I will reach back out sometime.
That is awesome. We all need that circle. We all need the people. And I think sometimes the difficulty is women trusting women and being able to network with women. Sometimes we feel like, we are our own worst enemies and we don't advocate for each other and we don't stand up for each other. And sometimes that mindset, takes us away from some good relationships that we could have, so yeah, go ahead.
I think say something about that. I have this group of female friends. They're all so ambitious. They're authors. Each of them has a book in their own right. Rosemond wrote about diversity. She wrote a book called Apples in a Seed, about the potential in people. She is a diversity, equity, and inclusion advocate, just like me. Abba wrote a book about hope. Yeah. He has a reach. Mamiya wrote a book about vocational education. She has a reach. Why do we have to compete? I wrote books that are fiction. Their books are nonfiction. And even amongst them, why do they have to compete? They don't. We can all support each other, because guess what? Rosie has a different reach. Abba has a podcast called Hope Mongers. I have a podcast called Humanity Chats with Marjy. We have a different reach. Yes. And so why should I not support Abba? But this is the other thing. Even if we are both angling at the same target, there is enough for everybody. So we should not be fighting each other, because guess what? If you let me in your network, I'm bringing part of my network. And if I let you in, you're bringing part of yours. And so we get bigger.
Of course. Yeah.
We support each other.
We support each other.
You may have ideas. For example, I watch Masterpiece. I watch those young men, talented men who came on and talked about their experiences. Guess what? My child is not as old as they are. This is how you are helping me, Tina. By me listening to those young men, I'm like, okay, so this is what I've got to do. So we can always help each other. Yeah. no need to compete. Well, there is also healthy competition.
There is healthy competition.
That is important if you're going to succeed, but then you're not competing against the other person. You're competing against you. You know, like my baby was in the National Spelling Bee. He read the whole dictionary. He was competing with the dictionary, not any of the spellers. So he was able to form bonds with the other spellers because they were not his competition. It was words.
I like the focus. It's like we can form the bonds. We can even have that healthy competition of, wow, Marjy is encouraging me to do A, B, and C. I like how she's doing it. I like what she's doing, and continue to learn. But we are not competing against Marjy because, I mean, Marjy has been doing this forever. I'm like, you know what? Just that's not what we are doing. But I am learning. I am like excited that she's even taking the step. And I didn't even know about Marjy till, you know, I started talking to Auntie Abba, and then through Abba, I got connected to you, and I started listening to humanity chats. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know, right? So I think that is the connections that we need, and we all need somebody. Yes, we have to also be independent enough to do the things we are doing, but we all need somebody. And I hope that we can celebrate each other, we can encourage each other and support each other. I said something this week in Masterpiece, and I said there's enough room in the sky for every star. So all of us, we have space. There's space for us. Whatever it is that you've been thinking about, it's time for you to implement it and do it, because there's enough room for you. And your God-given ability and reach is different than everybody else. It's such a unique thing that we don't have to belittle. We don't have to think about it and say, oh, mine doesn't have any, you know, it doesn't hold anything. It may be one talent, but that is something important. Wow, I love it. So I think Marjy,
stars. We are.
Yeah.
We are all stars.
We are all stars. It's amazing. So does that include the stay-home mom? Because sometimes the stay-home mom will feel like, I'm not really, you know, who is celebrating me? Nobody really thinks about it, that I get the whole house tidy and everything else. And sometimes they just, you know, the doubts and the ability to even rise above just staying home. But that is such a wonderful thing, because I don't think I can do stay-home mom. You do more work, right? So I think let's speak to a few of these moms that are watching, that will be watching. Let's talk to the stay-home mom. What would you tell a stay-home mom who spends all the day at home with the kids, driving back and forth, going here and there, and sometimes it doesn't look like anything. But for me, that is huge. That is a lot, you know?
I think being a stay-at-home mom is also a cultural thing for some, because I know several stay-at-home moms who are proud. They made that choice. They're professionals. They're physicians. They're attorneys. They made that choice to nurture their kids and take care of them to a certain age where they will prepare themselves to go back into the workforce, or even to invest their time and money into something else. And so if you're home and you don't have like this big title, or you feel like maybe you don't have much going on, you do. God gave you those babies. And what you're doing is taking care of them, making sure that they're getting ready for life.
Yeah.
I had to mute myself for a minute because there was some background noise. But, you know, giving your all is also important. And with everything that you do, you have to give your best. So if you made that decision, and that is what is working for your family, because you need that one person to go and earn that income, and you need to pick up some slack in the household, be happy with it. Don't compare yourself to someone else, because everybody has a journey. You see somebody and you think that person is self-made and was born that way. It took the person a minute to get there. Your day is coming. I have an aunt who decided that she was going to stay at home and take care of her kids. Well, now she has a physician, she has a lawyer, She has an
Wow.
engineer. She gets her brand name bags from them. Look, she supported her husband. He rose to the highest of the highs, was a dean of a university. And that is the choice she made for herself. But she was confident in that choice. But guess
Yeah.
what? She is reaping the joys of her sacrifice now. So don't ever compare yourself to somebody else.
Yeah.
Look, when I was younger, I just wanted to work. I didn't see certain things in my life. And then as I settled down, I started having different dreams. But my dreams didn't go exactly the way that I had planned it. But you know what? I made good on the dreams that were presented to me, on the situation that I found myself in. And that's what we have to do. Rome was not built in a day.
No, 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 no. And as mothers, like you said, it's so much diversity of what we do, so much, so different types of mothers today. We celebrate you, we salute you, Dr. V, we see you, we salute you. The career women, we salute you. The stay-home moms, you are the best. You do it all. In fact, we don't even have a title for you because you do all of it. You do the driving, you do the everything together. So we really salute you. Don't make it look like you are not doing something. You are doing a lot, and celebrate you.
You know what? I think, and this is not offensive, but really, which mom takes care of their kids and stay home? You just said it. They're driving around, dropping their kids off, running errands. It's more like a PhD in caring.
Yeah, yeah. You do it all. That's the thing. And that's why when I hear people say, oh, my wife is just home or stays home, I'm like, no, you have no idea that the things that goes into staying home, being with kids, having no room to breathe. And by the time you realize that evening is come and the day is over, so really enough respect for stay-home moms, for stepmoms, for aunties, all types of moms today. We celebrate you and we really, really respect all that you do. And we want to encourage you to be courageous in all that you are doing, because you are really contributing a lot to all of us and to even your family. Like she said at the beginning, that in your household, you are the bomb. You really rock. So keep doing what you're doing. And Marjy, let's talk a bit about your books. Because I think that is, the story that we all also have. So you have two books. You wrote The Shimmigrants and then you did The Same Elephant. Why did you write those books? What was the reasoning behind it? And how did you even get time to write the books? Like, really, you are doing STEM for girls. You have these amazing boys that you're supporting. You're a soccer mom. You make some of us look very, ordinary.
Please, we are all ordinary, working and striving to be our best selves. I love to write. I love to read, and voracious readers tend to become writers. Wow. I had a story to tell, and I wanted to tell that immigrant story from my perspective. That's something that we call own voices. I see stories out there that people write, but they may not have experienced that or have firsthand knowledge, And I would say that the story of the Shimmigrant of Sasha, although may not have been my exact experience, I kind of lived it by seeing other people's experience and by listening to stories. My mother came from a polygamous home, so I knew how it was to live in a polygamous home in the village, because I'm a Dansoman girl, but I'm from Akwemu, I'm from Ekropon, so I've been to the towns, and not just Akwemu, I've been inside, deep, I've been to Kwasan, so I know what a compound house in a village looks like, and I just wanted to visualize that and bring it to life. And people just judge immigrants, thinking that, especially in our previous administration, people were thinking that if you're an immigrant, you're probably coming from a filthy country or that you were a criminal. I wanted people to see that, you know what, some people, it may not even be their fault for them being illegal. There is more to that story. And I wanted them to see that there were hardworking people in this world. And so I found a nice way to tell a fictional story and still bring that to light.
Wow.
Regarding my second book, Same Elephants, and it's surprising that these protests started last year. My book came out in March. In the book, the four girls with their friends ended up going on a protest because two of them who are Black ended up being stereotyped. And we hear those stories all the time.
Yep.
Maybe the bigger population, why is this happening? No, it's been happening. Yeah. I have been stereotyped so many times. I would give my girlfriend's kids a ride and people would think I'm their nanny. Or I would go shopping with my mom and somebody may follow us in a store. Or my kid will show up at camp and somebody meaning to be very nice will say, oh, they're so clean. Like what, girl? You expected them to show up down and dirty? You know, so these are true things that happen to Black folk. We need to find a nice way to tell it.
Tell the story.
So that the people in my circle and beyond who may not be aware would know that this exists. And truly, you know, white people and Black people can be friends.
Oh, yeah.
And so I wanted to show that in the story, that it's not all white folk that are bad.
No.
And that is why I write. I cook up stories in my head when I'm in the shower, or maybe early in the morning when I'm laying in bed. I have all these things that I think about and imagine, and I put it down on paper. And the hope is to give somebody else a window into things that may be going on in other people's lives that they may not be aware of.
Right.
Or even if it's not, it could also be that those stories would provide you with some kind of reassurance that you are not alone. That this thing that's happening to you, it's not just you, whether it be the domestic violence that may have happened in my first book, The Shimmigrant, or whether it be the fact that you are a Black writer and you may be having a hard time finding a publisher for your beautiful work. You should know that it's not just you, man, it's the system. Yeah.
Wow. So for those of us who are watching, there is we're going to have copies of the book. The shipping hasn't arrived yet, but we are going to get copies of these two books, and we are going to have another giveaway. So keep looking out for some of these questions that are coming up, because you want to read The Shimmigrants. You know, especially if we are all, like, a lot of us are immigrants, a lot of us have traveled. We know how it is to be in other places. Another piece of Masterpiece is also looking at immigrants and how do we help ourselves to even be situated in a different country. So that is really important. And so watch out for a book that you can win this week or the following week. But I think I'm going to go back to Marjy and ask, how important is reading to a woman? How important is that? I know you love reading. I know some of us like reading, but sometimes as women, we make excuses for reading. And we say, oh, we don't have the time, or we are busy, or we are doing so many things. But how important is reading to us as women? I mean, it's everybody, but today, because it's Women's Weekend, we are focusing on the women. How important is that to us? Yeah.
Well, thank you for that question. Reading provides us with an escape. As women, we go through so much. Sometimes we're tired, and sometimes life can go hard at us. And so you could choose an easy book and just read it and get some comfort, or, you know, escape into somebody else's world.
Right.
Another thing is some of these inspirational, uplifting, motivational books, they lift our spirits up.
Yeah.
And you may read somebody's autobiography and feel like, oh my goodness, they went through all that. I didn't know that. I should persevere. I can
Yes.
do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Obama's becoming, and it's like, oh, she's regular peeps,
Yeah.
and it makes you feel like you can achieve too. You read about Lucy Quist and what she's doing, or you read about Oprah. You look at her beginnings, and I'm talking nonfiction here, or you read Abba Kato's Reflections of a Hope Monger, and you realize that, oh my goodness, I
Right.
can go through it. My life is not perfect, but there is a way out. Reading is so important that way for us as women,
Yeah.
whether it be fiction or nonfiction. Hey, you read Marjy Marj's books and you look at the way she's writing her English and you're like, oh, I can relate. That's just
Yes.
how I'm speaking. Okay, I just saw Chale there. I just saw Trotro in there. I just saw Bone Shaker. I saw Ide Ego D.
Yeah.
Reading is so important. It gives us a window into other cultures. It uplifts and nourishes us. And hey, it helps us. Like when I was pregnant with my baby, I was reading about all the steps, and so I would go grab earphones and put it on my big stomach because I'm okay. This baby's got to listen to classical music, jazz, because that's what's gonna make him smart. Reading did that to me. It may not have been true, but it gave me hope that I was going to raise a smart kid by making him listen to classical music in my stomach.
Wow.
So, but you have to be careful what you choose to read because you could end up also reading something entirely crazy and it might let you go,
Right.
and
Right.
not to pick on anybody. Well, when you say those things, that means you're about to pick on someone. Yeah, I am picking on them. But like this morning, I went on Twitter, and this is not a book, but I read a comment from Diamond and Silk, who are these two Black women. If you're not familiar with them, they're these two Black women who they're MAGA women. They support President Trump, former President Trump, and there is freedom of speech. I don't have a problem with them supporting President Trump at all, but I saw something that they had written about Miss Obama, and I thought to myself, did you really need to write that? So,
Yeah.
although reading is good, you also have to be careful what you
What you
consume
read. Mm-hmm.
because what you consume could become you.
Yes.
And if you
Yes.
go reading some stuff that may not necessarily be uplifting, that could turn your mind or could end up depressing you.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I think that you just said it. We have to be readers. We have to become avid readers and read more, but we have to choose what we read. What would encourage us? What will bring us to that place of confidence and being able to grow is very important. So I see, a lot of comments on our chat, and I want to see if we have any questions for Marjy because we are rounding up. I know we started a bit late, but we also have Marjy in different things that we want to be mindful of her time as well, But as we wrap up, I just want to, bring up a verse that really, ministered to me this morning on the Proverbs 31 women. We all know her. We've read about her. We think she's a superwoman and everything. But towards the end, in verse 25, he says her strength and honor are her clothing, and she smiles at days to come. And so I was quick to go and think about the strength, the confidence, the courage, the virtue, the values that she clothes herself with. And for us women, clothing is important. What we wear is important. We have to be right on point. We have to have all the matching earrings and everything. But I mean, just thinking about it, that even her, as superwoman, description needed strength as a clothing. I wanted us to just stay on that and just wrap up our conversation and talk about how important for us going into Mother's Day and beyond, for us as women to develop that courage, that strength, that virtue, what will keep us in the midst of the storms, because the world is ever changing and things will continue to happen and fears will continue to abound and we'll keep on doubting as life goes on. But in all of it, how do we clothe ourselves with strength and rise up every day and show up and be the people that God has called us to be? Be the light to the world and be the salt of the earth. Marjy, your turn.
Hey, this one, dear. You know, we must show up. It's the most deaf. We need to show up because guess what? There are people that rely on us as women. It could be people at our jobs, it could be our kids, it could be our husbands, it could be our girlfriends, it could be anyone relying on us. So we have to show up. And in order to get that strength, I'm a woman of faith, of the Christian faith. And, other people may be watching who may be of other faiths. But I believe that just like I go on my knees and go to my Almighty God, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 times a day, I believe that whatever faith you have, you should have that communication with God. Wow. And that is going to give you that extra strength that you may not even have known that you have. There are some people who may be atheists, and I respect that. If it's books that you have to read to lift yourself up, just find a source of strength. So for me, my first source of strength is God. I don't rely on people, although I believe the importance of having networks. Second is family. We have been blessed to be put in families. And I know some families are stressful, but family is not just by blood. Yes. We make family. And guess what? It is all about relationships. You don't sit there and be like, okay, she hasn't called me, or, like, for example, I do send out a broadcast message about my podcast. And I know the people who don't read it. Some people don't read it. I'm like, they probably get it and be like, oh, Marjy Marj, she sent me another message. This girl cry white, but it's relationship building. So even if that friend may not be reading it, it doesn't mean that they're not supporting you. You can still reach out to that person and ask them how they're doing. Show that you care. Relationship building is so important for us to build that strength and resilience. Because guess what? When you're feeling down, one of those people will be the ones reaching out to you. And I'll give an example. There have been times where I have received something in the mail from somebody who may not even be my closest friend. And it has given me strength that somebody sees me. We all want to be seen.
We do.
We don't want to just be in the room and not matter. Everybody wants to be seen. I don't care how shy the person is, or even the person may not be on social media. Being seen doesn't mean that you're going to take that bougie picture and strike a pose for everybody to see you. No, that's not what I mean. I mean that people would see the value that you're bringing to the table. That somebody will pick up the phone and say, hey, Akosia, me, Akosia, I haven't heard from you. How are you doing? We all need that. And those little actions help to build our strength. So the relationships, the communication. That's help us. And to also build our strength, we have to work on ourselves. We have to work on ourselves. We cannot keep doubting ourselves in everything. In this day and age of social media, you're gonna see on Facebook that somebody's husband bought them perfume and flowers and chocolate and shoes and stuff for Mother's Day, and that your husband did not even make you breakfast, or maybe sent you a WhatsApp message that looks like a forwarded message saying Happy Mother's Day. She says, don't let that be me. But but
Funny.
don't work on yourself. Don't compare yourself to others, because some chick went out, bought her own flowers, got her own perfume, took a picture, and said her husband's so sweet. Girl, her husband is just like you, or sending you that forwarded WhatsApp message. So, or another thing, do not rely on that man or that woman to give you that strength, because hey, there are single women who are powerful, who are single parents. Just tap into yourself for that energy. Read, and you just said it, read. And if you're because there's some people that may not have the ability to read, maybe because of their eyesight or because of their educational level. Well, listen. Now there are shows in our local languages that you can even listen to. Hey, if you're in Ghana, you can listen to Delay. There are people who speak Tree. There are people who speak Ga. You don't have to compare your life with others, because when you do, you're probably going to lose that strength.
Yeah.
I tell you what, like, there are influencers and stuff on social media. They put a picture, they get thousands of likes. You go and put your favorite picture, and it's like, people didn't see it. No. You didn't put the picture there for the people, though. You put it there for yourself, because you saw yourself and you were like, I'm looking fine today, so this is me.
Oh my goodness.
Don't focus on the likes, because you know what? Some of those people that are even liking your pictures, they're shady. They're going
not true.
they're talking bad about you. Don't trust them. No, trust you. And that builds your strength. That builds your confidence. But start it with God.
Wow, Marjy Marj in the house.
That was a long answer.
She's packed so much into this at the end, and now I can't even go back and ask her all the things because our time is almost up.
Oh,
but
sorry, I talked too much. Hey guys, if you want to learn more about Marjy Marj, go to marjymarj.com. Also, Humanity Chats with Marjy is that hot podcast out there. Just go Apple Podcasts, Spotify, go subscribe. And hey, by the way, leave me a review. You Ghana people, you don't try. You don't leave reviews. Reviews are so important. Leave us reviews. Go to Hope Mongers. Go and leave Abba a review too. When you read our books, give us 5 stars. Yes.
She has shamelessly put in the plug. And I think that is where, we all have to rise up and do some of these things. It's not like you're waiting for someone else, but you take the leap of faith and put yourself out there. Put your picture on Facebook, not for likes, but because, like she said, you've seen yourself, you really have liked the things that you have seen, and you are putting it for you. And so we have to, as women, love ourselves as we have continued to love others. This weekend, love yourself enough to be able to.
I have one thing that I wanted to say. For women who are probably working on maybe their own projects,
it
is important for you to have a digital footprint to be found. And so if you put that stuff out there, whether it be Twitter or it be on a blog, and let's say people are not liking or tweeting or retweeting or anything like that, I am begging you, don't take that as you are not being validated. You know what your end goal is. You focus on the quality of what you are doing and creating that footprint, because if you need for somebody to find you, you need to put it out there to be found. If you are quiet, you will not be found. That is if that is what you're doing, if what you're doing is something that needs to be found, you have to find a way of putting it out there. And do not focus on maybe your friend did not like it. Maybe your friend did not see it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not personal.
It's not
Just
personal.
do the work. Focus on the quality of what you're putting out there, and the end result will come. It may be 10 years, but it will come.